So it's tough to figure out if I'm annoyed at gamers specifically or just people in general. I spend a lot of time with gamers as a gamer, talking to gamers, and so obviously that's coloring my view of most people. So maybe what I'm about to say, which I'm very frustrated and annoyed with, is everyone, not just gamers. Although I think it is. I think there's a lot of people like this, and I just notice it through gamers because that's who I interface with a lot. But so Horizon comes out yesterday, the 14-minute trailer. We watched it, we streamed it. I thought it looked really good. I didn't play the first Horizon, so I don't have a lot of comparison. Like, oh, I've already done that mechanic and stuff. It looks great visually. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm very interested in this game. It looks very traditional, although there are some cool mechanics. But overall, I think it looks great. And then this is making the rounds today. This is people are like, what happened to whatever her name is, Aloy, I don't know how to say her name, Alo, who knows? Somebody knows. But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know what it is. I love games. I love so many people who love games. I love the gaming community, and yet I'm going to be honest with you. I hate so many. Hate's a strong word. I'm frustrated by so many online folks who call themselves gamers. I just am. I'm so over it. I'm so done. This Reddit thread, which is she got fat, basically. What happened to her face? Let's actually see what they call this thread. I think it's literally called Aloy's looking quite different, right? And then there's this has made the rounds on social media, and it's she's fat, she's so chubby, blah blah blah. And the first thing that's just the craziest thing is that this gets posted on Reddit. It gets locked because, this is the response to this. Let me tell you what the response to this is, and then let me tell you what the response to this should be in a civilized society. The response to this is, on Reddit, you're comparing shots from 2017 with a narrow angle lens to one in 2021 with a wide angle lens. And they're really going into sort of camera lenses and where the camera's positioned. And it's like, it's almost like, and then you go through this whole thing of people like validating that. Like, yeah, I'm a photographer. That's true. That's how that works. It's like, oh, I see. It's like, this guy's like, gotcha. First person versus third person. Different for sure. It's just like, and that was the solve for them. That was the solve for these guys. It's like, crisis averted. She's not fat. She's not chubby. She's not overweight. It's just a camera thing, guys. We're good. We're all good, right? That's what they locked the thread for, it looks like, is that it's like, look, we're done discussing this. This is the reason. Don't worry about it. Her character model does not look as different as the images suggest, this thing says. And if you match the focal distance, you'll find, come on. Come on. Here's what they should be concerned about or writing about. Who gives a shit? She's not real, fellas and lesbians. She ain't real. You're not fucking her. She's not going home with you. Okay? Not every character in a video game needs to fucking fulfill your fucking masturbatory fantasies. I'm sorry. It's just, you can't, you can, but you sound like a fucking moron. You can't in one breath talk about how games have arrived and they are art and they are to be taken seriously with film and literature and in plays and great albums from, musicians. And at the same, she's fat. I don't like her. She's fat. You don't get to do both unless you just want to come across like a fucking idiot. Okay? I'm not saying Aloy got heavier. Okay? I'm not saying she got fat, which isn't even a bad word. I'm not saying she's carrying more meat on the bones this time around than last time around. Who the fuck knows? Okay? What I can tell you is, unless you're talking about someone who is morbidly obese, there are very healthy people who are carrying a lot of pounds, okay? Who have great cardiovascular health, who have great blood pressure, and they are overweight, okay? I'm not one of them. I'm overweight for sure, but I'm not like the healthiest guy in the world. But what I'm telling you is that even if, because I could see, well, it's not that we don't like she's fat, Jeffy. It's that, she can't do all these things. How could she swing around and fight dinosaurs? Well, A, it's not real. Let's be clear, just if you were curious. B, yeah, a lot of heavier people can do that. Just look at Nia Jax on the WWE, okay? And that's a big woman. That ain't Alloy. That's a big fucking woman. And she jumping all over the goddamn place. It just, there's it's kind of a cliche at this point to talk about it. They say there's two things left in the world, certainly in America, that we can be prejudiced against that's acceptable. One is age, which is true, and the other is being overweight. And I used to be this way too. I had friends of mine who were saying, you shouldn't fat shame people. And I would say, well, I'm not fat shaming them, but as a guy who's overweight, I can tell you that when I see people who are overweight, there is a sense of, I think a little, this isn't now, this was back then, I think a little less of them. And my friend said, why? And I said, well, because as a guy who's overweight, I know when I eat more than I really need to eat, that is because I'm not dealing with my stress. I'm not dealing with my shit like a grown-up. And so the way it manifests is I eat and you can see it. So when I see people out in the world, unless they have like a thyroid condition or are just sort of genetically predisposed to be large, not obese, but, bigger, unless it's one of those situations, I go, oh, that person, I think a little bit less of them because they don't have their shit together. And my friend said to me, they said, okay, but that's really hypocritical. And I said, well, why? And she said, because look at, you're making, she was absolutely right. You're making this assumption that just because you don't see the ramifications of the person's vice, of the person's sort of escape hatch, that they don't have one. You can't always see alcoholism. You can't always see drug use. You can't always see sexual addiction. You can't always see depression, although depression's not an escape hatch. That's, I'll say, so scratch that one. I'm not editing it. That doesn't belong in there. But alcoholism, all the vices, you can't always see these things. You can't even always see people who go to food for stress because sadly, tragically, they'll get rid of it before their body can turn it into fat. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. The people who are overweight, you see it. And so you judge it, which you shouldn't. But it's just this bullshit shaming bullshit of the West, this sort of crap we've had since we were the Puritans coming over from fucking England, where we just have to sit in judgment of other people. I don't give a fuck. And no one should be defending this. No one who is a true gamer who believes in the medium, whether you believe in it at a pure mechanics level or a narrative level or both, no one should be defending this behavior. Gamers like this should be called out. They should be the ones who are shamed. It's like, you people, not you, not these gamers that I'm talking about, you people, you don't even realize how cruel you're being. You don't even realize how disrespectful you're being. You don't even realize how ignorant you're being. And it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating because I live on the internet. My job these days is being on the internet, finding stories, talking about stories, interfacing. And it's like, it's so fucking obnoxious to have to deal with shit like this. I'll show there was a game and people made fun of me for liking it. I'm going to show you this game. This was a game that came out, and again, I don't know what they've changed with this character. But even if they did make her really big, who gives a shit? Okay, there was a game called Calico, and this was really fucking nice. I really like this. It's one of the first games I can think of that I've ever seen that literally has, two, big women as the stars, right? You don't see this that often. And I'm not saying you want to normalize unhealthiness. If if you do have a really big fat person and in the same way, if I was watching a movie and I saw an alcoholic behavior, you probably want to tie that into the story. You don't want to be like, well, that's okay. If you do have a person who is eating because they haven't dealt with their shit, there's nothing, that may be part of the character you build in, or maybe it's not. There are some people who are just predisposed to be big. But ultimately, it is just, I just found it when I saw this today and I saw it gaining some fire on social media. I just found it offensive and insulting, and not so much like, oh, well, it's because you're a fat guy, Jeffy. Yeah, I am. I'm like 40 pounds overweight, but no, it has nothing to do with that. It's the cruelty on the part of my fellow gamers. Because I know I'm an overweight guy. I haven't been overweight most of my life, so I don't walk around feeling like a fat guy. I still feel like, the guy, the not fat guy. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being fat as long as you can be healthy. It's that's the important thing. But I just get so, it's like, a lot of these gamers, we're supposed to be the same goddamn tribe. We're supposed to be good people. We're supposed to be the smart ones. The geeks are supposed to be the ones that got picked on in high school, and we rose up and we conquered the world, and we're the ones who are on the straight and narrow path of goodness and righteousness. And look at us. Look at you. Not you. I don't know who you are, but you know what I'm saying. It's just embarrassing, and it's insulting, and it's mean. And I don't like it, and I wanted to say something. I hope you're well. I had my second COVID shot today, so if you don't see me for a few days, it may be because I just got sick. But I'll be back. See you soon. Bye, everybody.